Good evening and welcome everyone. I can see almost more than 100 people here with us right now in this National HRD Network Pune chapter and Upuhan's, the very prestigious platform Between the Lines. Today's webinar title is 22 Yards and Beyond. And as we all know in the attendees and the presenters, how fascinating this 1.5 hour is going to be. Without wasting much of time, ladies and gentlemen, let me put it forward to Dr. Neeraj Mankar, the treasurer of National HRD Network Pune, to take this session forward. I would like to request each and everyone in the attendees to please keep in mind that all your questions are more than welcome. However, if you want to put it forward, then you can put it on the questions tab and not in the chat. So, ladies and gentlemen, putting it forward to Dr. Neeraj Mankar. Neeraj, sir, over to you, please.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Darpan. A very good evening to all my illustrious panelists and my two good friends from Upohan, and also to the large number of attendees who have joined in. This is, as we see the lovers of cricket on this panel, this is a record-breaking sort of webinar that we have with over 500 people having registered for the webinar. So thank you, all of you. I think it says a lot, about the panel and about the over the last 3 years that we've been having the relationship with Advait, Eklavya, and Upohan, and we started off in April 2018 with the first round of the Between the Lines, and coincidentally, or since Advait is a good strategist, strategically, the first person on the panel was also a cricketer. I think it was Ganguly, if I'm not mistaken, the book by him. So we come back a full circle in 3 years, Advait, and thank you so much. The National HRD Network, we have been doing a lot of webinars and a lot of other events, not just specifically to the HR, but for the entire community. And we've been happy to partner with Upohan for such a long time. And I'm sure that like the other webinars that we've been having in the last 3 years, this will also be a great webinar to sit through and enjoy it. So I'm not going to take much time. Again, on behalf of Anand Khot, our president, Aman, our secretary, Saima, and you met Darpan, my partners in marketing crime, who kept on sending all the mailers to all of you attendees here, and our creative guy Salil. A big thank you, and once again welcoming it to the webinar. Over to you, Advait and Eklavya.
Thank you, Neeraj, and it's always great to have our partnership going along strong after 3 years, like you said. Good evening, and my name is Advait Kurlekar. My colleague here is Eklavya Malhotra, and both of us represent a Pune-based management consulting company called Upohan Management Consultants. And we've been sort of conducting these Between the Line program for the last over nearly 4 years now. In fact, this is the edition number 55. Which means, for people who have been attending our programs regularly, they know, but a lot of new names today, I'm sure, and for their benefit, typically the format of the program is that each month we pick up a book that is, we believe is a good book to read or has got recently launched and has got good reviews. And, Eklavya here takes us through a fantastic summary of that book. And every book has learnings, every book has insights. And therefore, depending on what these insights are, what the topic is, we invite people, and we have been inviting people from the industry. And I try and moderate a panel discussion and get the panelists talking. So that has been typically the format. Today is a rare occasion, one of those few of those 55 that we've done so far, where we have the rare honor of having the author himself on the panel. And therefore, there's a slight twist in our today's schedule. So I will still hand over to Eklavya, because otherwise many of his fans will miss his action. So he will take us very briefly through some introduction to the book that we have chosen for today and the author, of course. and then I'll come back, and instead of a summary, I will have a lovely sort of engaging talk or interview, if I may like, with Milind Gunjal, who all of us know, is the author of today's book, and we'll talk about his career and his book. And then, as always, we have three more esteemed panelists who will join us, and we'll have again a freewheeling discussion in terms of 22 yards and beyond, like Darpan mentioned. Cricket, as we see, is always what we see on the ground or increasingly on television. But there are so many things that happen in the ecosystem, and we would love to hear all that goes, some of the nice and some of the not so nice things, depending on what the panelists share. So over to you, Eklavya. Take us through a quick summary in terms of what you have today, and then Milind and we will get talking for some time. And before I hand over, yes, NHRDA, we have partnered for last 3 years now, but this being a special cricket and sports kind of edition, we have another partner with us called Sportism, which is a very young, vibrant startup that does business into sports-related leisure travel. Sportism. So, please try and go on their social websites, Facebook, Insta, website, etc., and understand what they are all about. Over to you, Ekla.
Thanks, Advait. I hope my screen is visible to everyone. So, like Advait said, I will not take up too much time because we've got the man of the moment today here with us today. We've got the author himself, so Milind Gunjal is here with us today. And he really needs no introduction, but just for those of us who might be of considerably younger age and who may not recollect Milind's feats on the ground, he's a former first-class cricketer and he's captained the Maharashtra Ranji team. And post his cricketing days, he's also worked as a match referee and coach. Milind made his debut at a very young age, and he's also had the distinction of representing the Indian team at under 22 and under 25 age groups. He was also part of the West Zone team, which has played against a number of international touring sides. And it has always probably been one of the great misfortunes of Maharashtra state level cricket and possibly Indian cricket also, that Milind did not get the much deserved chance to represent the senior Indian team. And he really came heartbreakingly close to that back in 1986. But undeterred by that, Milind has left his mark across various cricketing group levels and league cricket. He's played professional cricket in Ireland and Kenya, where he's been a prolific run scorer. And also, again, the reason what probably makes Milind so unique is that his life has not just remained limited to cricket or in the pursuit of greatness on the cricket field. He's also spent a very commendable 36 years working across the Tata Group. And in his last stint over there, he was basically the sports manager for Tata Motors, where he's had the notable achievement of actually bringing so many other sports to the limelight, like hockey, football, athletics. So cricket notwithstanding, he's actually done a lot for many other sports, and he's contributed to so many more athletes who have made it to the national and international level, courtesy, of course, his and Tata Motors efforts. So that's just a bit about Milind, and the reason why, of course, we are doing this particular session is because Milind has just now come up with a new book. This is an autobiography, which he's written down in just about 3 weeks last year during the first lockdown. And if you were to read the book, and I would strongly urge all of you to get a copy, to order a copy of the book, it's an engaging read, and it will really leave you astonished that how could he cover so many details in such an engaging manner in just a time span of 3 weeks. So the book is fascinating. It really has a lot of anecdotes, which I'm sure all of us as cricket lovers and amateurish connoisseurs of the game, we all love to get some kind of sneak peek into what happens behind the cricketing achievements, behind the 22 yards. And this book is not really short of those kind of insights, anecdotes, and stories. And honestly, Milind does not deserve too much of validation from any of us, because when the little master and the colonel themselves have put it on paper in terms of what Milind means to Ranji cricket in general and Maharashtra cricket in particular, then you know that you're probably in the company of somebody who has really achieved quite a bit on the field and beyond. So, having said that, I move on to Advait to now get some kind of insights from Milind on his journey on the book, and then we'll move on to the panel discussion post that.
Thanks, Eklavya, and for the wonderful quick summary or introduction. So, Milind, let me start, talking to you in terms of about the book and your journey. You've been known as a batsman, of course, prolific batsman, and also a leg spinner. So I'll come to the googly questions later. I'll first give you a simple one. So everybody post retirement starts writing in terms of contributing back in terms of autobiography kind of thing. Well, when I read your book, it's not exactly an autobiography, and the title of the book is very, very unique. So let me start with simple, straight kind of ball, simple ball for you to bat. That what led you to the book, writing book, and choosing this kind of format for the book, where there are different people who have come in your life, cricketing or otherwise, have contributed to the book, lovely photographs, etc., etc. And why this particular name?
Yeah, good evening, Advait. Let me confess that it was only during the last lockdown, which was announced on the 24th of March, 2020, and that was for 3 weeks. So we always have been, outdoors doing something, and either working or on the ground. So absolutely, I had no clue what to do those 3 weeks sitting at home.
Okay.
And then I just picked up a pen and a book, and just started scribbling my memories. There was no intention of writing a book as such. I just started writing, 2-3 weeks I just kept on writing whatever came to the mind that particular day. I just wrote it down. And then after writing about 100 odd pages, I realized that maybe I can, this can come out, can become a small book. I wasn't very sure, but then I put it in the computers. I typed it, and then I realigned it a little bit, and I thought, yes, it has a potential of having a book or of some size. One more thing, I was always little, I was hurt, you can say, that, I see a lot of cricketers who have not made at the highest level. And then, what happens? They are struggling for jobs, or they are struggling for their livelihood. If they have not made it at the highest level,
Yeah.
only those few who make it to the highest level, they are financially well off, they are settled, well settled in life. See, what happens is a cricketer spends a lot of time on the field. If you are playing first class cricket, you are practicing 5-6 hours a day at least.
Yeah.
And you are spending the most important age factor, like 15 to 25, that age span that you are spending on the field, for cricket. So you have not given much importance to studies or any other earnings, you can say, how you are going to earn your living. So you are after cricket, and you have spent so much of time, and then if you don't make it at the age of, say, 25 or 30, then you are neither here nor there. And
Mhm.
then it's, if you are not a graduate, then people find it difficult to get jobs. And I have seen quite a few cricketers really struggling. So through this book, I thought, I can, I can be some use to guide the boys, the youngsters, because nowadays, there are so many boys coming into cricket. say if you have to just compare, in our times, if 100 boys in Pune were playing cricket, today there are maybe 10,000 boys getting into cricket. They see the glamour, they see the, of course it is there, but how many can really earn a living out of cricket? There are very few. In India, you can say maybe I can say about 1,000 people can earn real good living out of cricket. Beyond that, if you don't make it, then you should have some fallback arrangement. That is what I thought, and that's what it reflects in my book that people should have the second.
That's why you've named it that way.
Yes. No, the naming the book, I can tell you why that name. After my after I finished playing cricket, I was on some committee in the association, and I attended one meeting. I came all the way from Pimpri. I came and went rushing to the meeting at maybe 6:30, 7 o'clock, and uh, unfortunately that meeting, nothing much was discussed about cricket. Quite a few other things were discussed, and I came back home a little disappointed, and my father just he watched me, and then he didn't say anything. Next month again, I for the second meeting, I came back running from the office, and went for the meeting, and again, nothing much. Quite a few other things were discussed, and hardly any cricket was discussed in that meeting. I was there, only for the sake of cricket. I was not interested in any other thing as such, and so I was a little disappointed again. And when I came back home, my father asked me. He was a man of very few words, but he asked me. He saw me dejected, and he asked me what happened. So I said, no, nothing much, in the meeting. There wasn't much cricket discussed, he just, very quietly he said, Milind, you have better things to do in life. So that was the, that very, very coolly, very simple, in simple words, he just mentioned that you have better things to do in life. So, I just took it, and then, I concentrated on few other things, and, that is how it is. So I thought,
so did it lead you to move, to other sports as a sports manager in Tata Motors Telco, as it was called then? Or was that a trigger?
Actually, I didn't know even where Telco was situated in Pune. We never got a chance or to go and see where Telco was. But the destiny took me there. I was into a sports goods business, and one day it was a very small shop in Kothurud, and I was without a job that time. I was without a job. And in 1993, I retired from first class cricket after playing the finals at Punjab. And then, 94, 95, 96, I was without a job, because Tomco was taken over by Hindustan Lever, and, I was working for Tomco. So, we had to leave the job, and, coming from a middle class family, I had to find some job, some work. So I started this sports goods shop, and that's how I ended up, searching Telco. I reached Telco, and then I got into Telco. That story is there in the book, and uh, yeah, but I joined as a sports manager there. Manager sports, where cricket was just one part. We had about 16 other games. Indoor games, then athletics, and football, many other events we had. Swimming was there, and so then I had to do justice to all sports. It's not that I could only look after cricket. It was my job, to look after all the sport, because Tata Motors Pune had the strength of 15,000 employees that time. That time. Now it is maybe 10,000, 10, 11,000, but that time it was almost 15,000. So we had to select teams for 15, games within Tata Motors, and send them to inter Tata company matches and inter offices matches. So that is how I got into all other
Sure,
roles also.
sure. So let me bring back the discussion to you as a cricketer, and I'm sure this question has been asked many times, but it's still worth asking. Is that of all the matches that you've played at different levels, and we'll come to that a little later. Is there any if I have to ask you a question, that which one is the most memorable match or innings for you? Does anything strike out?
Yeah, innings is different, and the most memorable match is different. Innings, I
Okay.
can say that I always remember, or I always rate my innings when Maharashtra were struggling at 44 for 5 at Wankhede Stadium. I was the captain, and we had decided to bat first on that Wankhede Stadium wicket, and it moved quite a bit on that early morning, and we lost 5 wickets for 44, and I was at the non-strikers, and when Pradeep Kasliwal got 3 wickets in 1 over, and that was the 11th over of the match, and that day I just closed my eyes and I said, I am the captain. I have decided to bat first on this wicket, and we are 44 for 5, so I have to get 100 today. There is no option. And that day I got 125, which
Wow.
I think that was one of my best innings I played against the difficult conditions. Yes,
Sure,
but
sure.
match, if you ask me, Surendra will also remember that match. It was a fantastic match that we played. It was a knockout. Surendra was captain of Maharashtra, and it was maybe 92-93 season, and we were playing against Railways, at Nehru Stadium, and see, that day also the wicket wasn't the best. It wasn't. It had not dried up enough or completely. There was a little bit of moisture, and we lost 3-4 early wickets. In that while batting first, and thankfully, our last 4 wickets added almost 200 runs, and
Wow.
we could reach about 405 or something, which wasn't good enough on that wicket and on that Nehru Stadium outfield, because later on the wicket improved after lunch, and our tailenders, they batted very responsibly to take the score to 405. Later on, they had one batsman, Abhay Sharma or someone. Sharma, I think, was his name, and he came on to bat, and uh, we had Iqbal Siddiqui was one of our fast bowlers, and Samir Inamdar was another fast bowler. We had Santosh Jede that year, was doing exceptionally well. He was bowling well, and
Yeah.
at one stage, at maybe it was end of day 2 or day, yeah, it was end of day 3 maybe, and Railways were 257 for the loss of 5 wickets, and they just needed 140 odd runs to win with 5 wickets in hand. And this Sharma was, batting there on 90, and we had completed bowling 78 overs. 78 overs. Um, that day evening when we returned, the new ball was 70.
Uh, is there a problem with Milan's connection, or?
No, I guess there is a slight bandwidth issue at Milind sir's end.
Okay, okay.
The new ball was due at 75, and Jade had winner, and new ball was not taken, and the next day, that evening, we had a meeting, and all the senior selectors and the team management, they suggested that we should have taken the new ball after 75 overs, and we should be taking it next day morning straight away.
Yeah.
Then everyone was asked his opinion, and I was the only one that day that I felt that we should not be taking the new ball, because we just had 140 odd runs, and new ball, it will quickly carry to the boundary, runs will come quicker and easier.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
what I felt. With the old ball, they will have to hit the ball and to score runs, and then that wouldn't be easy. Runs will not come that easy, and then our chances will increase of bowling them more number of overs to get those 140 runs, and then our chances would also increase with that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I said that I will not take the new ball, but I was the only one to say that. And my suggestion was, I mean, didn't find any support. And so next day morning, the new ball was taken, and Iqbal Siddiqui was hit for 4 fours in 2 overs.
Oh,
And then Samir Inamdar was hit for 4 fours in 2 overs. So 4 overs, 40 runs were scored
wow.
with the new ball. With the new ball, and we just had 100 and odd runs to play with. So
Yeah. Yeah.
again the spinners came on to bowl, and by lunch, Jade had taken another 3 wickets, so he had 5 wickets, and I think Satyan Lande, he another off
So,
spinner, he took
so
one.
did you go on
There
to
was
win the match or?
Yes, I'll tell you that. At lunch, they had lost 8 wickets, and they needed something like uh, 16 runs to win. And that Sharma was still batting on 160.
Oh,
And then after lunch, when the match started, the other guy, other partner of Sharma, he hit 2 boundaries, and then when Jade bowled, he was hit for 2 boundaries. So 16 runs scored, just 4 or 5 runs to win. So all the fielders were brought in. Rai was bowling from the far end, and I was fielding at short extra cover. And he had bowled. Rai had bowled well in the first session. He had bowled very tight. So he had bowled with 6 fielders on the offside and 3 on the on. And I suggested that we should have 5 now on the off and 4 on the on. And I moved from short extra cover to short mid wicket. And the tailender, he got the last batsman, Iqbal Thakur or something. He tried to hit, and I caught it at short mid wicket, and we won
oh,
that match by 3 or 4 runs. It was
wow.
it was a fantastic match.
So,
We had
so
lost it at some stage, but
yeah,
we came back and we could win that. Yes,
you know,
it was a
two
knockout game.
things.
Yeah.
Two things, Belinda, I always admire when I speak to or hear people talking about their old kind of matches. That the kind of statistics and the numbers all of you still remember for matches that took place maybe 25, 30 years ago. That's very admirable. The second thing, interesting point you mentioned, and I was to come to that. It's very interesting for people in Pune to imagine that Nehru Stadium cricket pitch had any texture at all, because it's always called a pata, flat wicket kind of thing. So that brings me to a question, because in the book there are several instances that you mentioned that you had this innate kind of skill to judge the pitch better than many others contemporaries in your team at that point in time, and you went out of turn to even make suggestions either in the team meetings or on the field, kind of thing. So how do you develop that kind of knack to read the pitch, as they say in today's terms? Does it come only from
Advait,
experience or?
yeah, it does come. See, like I can say that whenever we played for Pune club, early, during the rainy season, it invariably it rained on Saturday, and then the wicket used to be wet. So what the inspection used to be after 1 hour, or we wanted to play the match. We always wanted to play. So what we used to do is, we used to prepare simultaneously a wicket, next to the proper wicket that was already prepared. So
Mhm.
because, and then we used to cut the grass, roll it, and try to make the game possible. So we used to work on the wicket. We never mind rolling ourselves or cutting the grass. And talking to the groundsman also helped quite a bit. When I played cricket in Bombay, I used to talk to the groundsmen, sit with them, and talk to them, then how they water, how they how they lay the wicket, and how they
Interesting,
prepare the wicket.
interesting. Yeah.
So all that information I had gathered, and over a period of time, if you are really involved thoroughly, then you will know how the wicket will behave. At least 3-4 times out of 5 your judgments will come right. Yes.
Okay, lovely. So, you need to be curious, you need to ask questions, talk to a large number of people, and understand what's going on to sort of be a good judge in terms of the field or the pitch rather. Okay. Talking of pitches, in the book you've mentioned a couple of times, and I wanted to ask that question to you after reading the book, is you seem to have some soft corner for Moti Bagh in Vadodara. What's so great about Moti Bagh Palace ground, and why that soft corner?
Uh, Soft corner, you can say, I played my second Ranji Trophy match at Motibagh Palace. I had scored 0 and 21 at Sholapur in my debut match. And from there, we went to play against Baroda at Motibagh Palace. It's a beautiful ground. It is in the mid of a forest, actually. And,
Oh,
lovely trees right round. And it is a beautiful setup. And, they used to have that Shamiana as a changing room, and beautiful setup. I loved playing there, and because there I got my first class century. Maharashtra at lunch, we were struggling at 79 for 5, and Vineet Wadkar again there. He had taken 3 wickets in 1 over, and again we were struggling at 79 for 5 at lunch, and from there I went on to score 131 not out. That was my first century, in first class cricket. And later
okay.
on, I went on to score one more 100 there, 156 not out. And I always enjoyed playing there. I enjoyed the setup there, the lovely trees, and it's an English setup. So I loved
Okay, okay. So your
loved
first class
playing
100
there.
was there. So obviously, there is an emotional connect there.
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
lovely.
Yes. Yes.
Now, let me try if I can bowl you a googly. Uh, you know, between you as a batsman, and you as a leg spinner, who, where would your vote go? Because you've excelled in both. You've taken wickets at critical juncture. You've scored centuries at critical juncture. You won matches because of your bowling. You won matches because of your batting.
Advait, let me be very honest that I used to bowl good leg spin in school days, and when I came up, after schools, I took plenty of wickets in school cricket. But later on, when I came to university level, I saw that there were quite a few seniors, who were also bowling leg spin in the team, and I rarely got to bowl. I used to get 2-3 overs, at the end of the session or at the end of the day, and maybe I would finish 1 wicket or 2 wickets for 10, 12, 15 runs. But and then I was getting to bat at number 9 or 10, in the Pune University team. So for me, it was, little. I was disappointed. I didn't know what to do. There were 2, 3 senior leg spinners, playing for Maharashtra Ranji Trophy that time. So I had to decide whether I should, concentrate on my bowling or I should concentrate on my batting. So later on, I thought, it is better, I concentrate on my batting. So I literally, gave up my bowling and then
Okay,
concentrated on my batting. Yeah.
okay, okay, lovely. You mentioned in terms of disappointment. As a cricketer, as a sports person, a lot of HR people here, a lot of students in the on the call today. All of us go through highs and lows. So my question is, how do you cope with those highs and lows? I mean, coping with highs is perhaps easier. You're doing good, in all aspects of what you're doing. But especially when you're on low, and it's good to say that form versus class and all that part. But at the end of the day, sometimes your career is on the line, your selection is on the line. You've been through a huge kind of disappointment, like you mentioned, where everybody in the world and their uncles perhaps expected you to be chosen in that, getting an India cap for England. And how did you cope with that? Because what did you do? How much time did it take? And I know, and I'll come back to that question, because that was the same time when you got a chance to play for professional cricket in Ireland. But before that, how did you, because perhaps I would imagine that was the largest disappointment for you. And as a professional, as a sports person, what are the learnings for any of us in terms of how to cope with such a huge kind of disappointment? How did you cope with it? How much time did it take?
Yeah, yeah, I had put in a lot of effort, reaching that level. I had, done reasonably well in 1984 on the tour of Zimbabwe. And then following season 1985, I was, I think, one of the top scorers in India in the domestic cricket. And, like everybody else, I was also hopeful of, making it to the Indian team, but somehow that didn't happen. uh, See, now you have to accept the facts and move on. That is one thing. You definitely get disappointed. I was disappointed. I kept my kit bag on the shelf, and I never wanted to take it back again, and touch the kit bag again. I went to Bombay. I remember I went for my cousin's wedding, my cousin sister's wedding, and that's what helped me a little bit. I spent a few days in Bombay, and I was away from cricket. I didn't want to play cricket for quite some time.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Definitely, I was disappointed. But see, you have to accept, how to cope with bad patch, or when you are doing badly. Yes, I can say that you go back to your basics. Try and concentrate on your basics. Try to do the small things correct, and concentrate on the ball. If you are a batsman, concentrate on the ball. If you are a bowler, concentrate on your action, and that would certainly help. If your basics are, if you worked on the basics, you are you will get out of the bad patch earlier than most
Okay,
other batsmen.
okay,
So that
okay.
is how I look at it. So you should
Sure,
work
sure.
more on your basics, which would
Yeah,
definitely help.
sure.
Yes.
Now, I know for a fact that you and Kiran More are very close friends, and it's because of Kiran, he got selected, and you got that opportunity to play in Ireland. How was that experience? Take us through that experience, because suddenly you're into professional cricket in a foreign country where, by the language, the accent is something that you really don't quite quickly get it. How was that experience? And this was, of course, way back when uh, there was very less media exposure, and so there was nothing called social media in any case.
Yeah, I mean, even before me, quite a few cricketers, even from Maharashtra, had played cricket, professional cricket in the UK. Raju Bhalekar used to go.
Yeah.
I remember, and Yajuvendra Singh. They all had gone and played, professional cricket in the UK. I got this opportunity because Kiran More was supposed to, he had signed for that club, Coleraine Cricket Club. And then he got picked for the 85, 86, that tour of England. And so, he offered me to go as a replacement for him. And then it was some experience, because I was playing later on in Bombay when it was time shift. It was about 42 degrees there, and I traveled to Northern Ireland, and it was maybe 6, 7 degrees there. And there, the North Sea, the winds coming from the North Sea, even the temperature is 7. That chill in the air is, it's really biting, and it's
Sure,
freezing.
sure.
So I was playing. When I reached Belfast at night around 11 o'clock, and the club secretary and the president that time, Gavin Craig, he had come to receive me. So then there was a drive of almost 1 hour to Coleraine. So, and I hardly slept that night. And next day morning we were playing, and
Oh,
it was freezing cold, absolutely freezing cold, and I was not prepared. I bought a few bullies on the way to the ground, and I played cricket. That, see, it's a different cricket there. Like, people expect the professional to perform every match. They look at you as as if you have to win the match for them each and every time. So
hmm.
there's a lot of pressure on you. There is a lot of responsibility on you. And see, when you're paid for doing certain things, when you're paid for playing, that kind of pressure is different. I
Yeah.
experienced that first time there.
Yeah, I think we lost him again.
Matches
Yes, a slight bandwidth issue.
there.
Yeah.
Not able was coming first, able to coming after came so slowly that I was like early and the ball just was lob. I was to mid on, and then it's got 3 times. Hello,
Yeah, we can hear you. Maybe there's some
hello,
connectivity issue on the video side. We can hear you, Milind.
hello.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah, I see the Colrin synthetic practice wicket, and I was batting well on that wicket, and it was not a wicket, and where I well, use confidence both ball well. So I didn't, and then fourth match I got few runs. I tried to hit the ball rather than I could score 30 odd. I hit the ball over the field
And I believe you.
runs, and we won that match. And I never looked back, and I kept runs. And that year, a successful season.
Sure, and I believe you helped them win the local tourney,
Yeah.
which they've never achieved, never even dreamt of.
Yes, that was the year Coleraine won the senior cup. That was
Yeah.
and they had never won that before. They could never tournament, and so that was the only year Coleraine senior cup. They win it, win for them. Yeah.
Sure, sure. Okay. I think we are running out of time, but one last question in a different role that you played post your retirement is you also became a match referee for the BCCI for a couple of matches. So what is exactly this role of match referee? I mean, one only reads about it or sees on the TV screen that this is a match referee for this match. What does a match referee do?
A match referee has all the powers of the match. When I reached Lucknow, I remember I was doing this South Zone versus East Zone match, Dulip Trophy match, and the play. I reached one day before the match and straight to the ground, and the ground and the wicket conditions were quite good. But the players were complaining about the staying arrangements there, and the travel time and all that. They, that so team had uh, uh, VVS Lakshman and Anil Kumble and Dravid in the team, and East Zone had Saurav Ganguly in the team. It was a star-studded team, and both the teams were put up in one hotel, which was a little far off, 10 kilometers away from the ground. And both the team players, complained about the stay. So I said, okay, you carry on with your practice. I will see what can be done. So I left from the ground and I searched for other two hotels, one or two hotels in Lucknow. And then I reached the hotel where the teams were put up. There I ordered some tea or coffee and with some sandwich. And then it took more than 20-25 minutes for me to get. And then I saw the rooms also. Rooms were also very small. Those days, these senior cricketers would carry with big coffins, and then there was hardly any room left to move around in the rooms. The rooms were smaller. So their complaints were genuine. So I shifted both the teams from that hotel to other hotel, and then they were quite happy. So see, match referee can make any arrangements, change in the arrangements. He can report on the pitch as well as on the umpires also, the standard of umpiring and the behavior of players. Everything. So match referee has quite a few powers.
Understood.
That was
Understood.
big experience for me.
Sure, sure. Thanks for that. Milind, I think we can continue with this conversation for long, but we have to be mindful of the time. So, thanks
Yes.
very much for this lovely kind of dialogue that you had and shared your experiences. But I need to move on to our panelists, get them in, and understand from them as well. So that brings me to introducing our other three panelists. Um, so up front is Sunandan Lele. Uh, Many of us know who he is. He's a one of cricket's most sought after and veteran kind of cricket journalist or sports journalist, I should say. Started off with for people who are as perhaps as old as me and more, they would remember Shatkar and Kesri, of course. But he's also done his stint with BBC and ABC. He has a few unique distinctions of traveling all over the world, maybe a couple of more times in every cricket playing nation and continent. And of the 100-odd centuries Sachin has scored, Sunandan seems to have seen live at least 80 of them. I'm not sure how many of us even have seen 80 on the TV, but to see them live is fantastic. And of course, before that, he has represented Maharashtra in the under 19 level. In fact, captained them as well, and was in the under 19 Indian camp in terms of cricket as well. So thanks, Sunandan, for your time, and welcome to Between the Lines. Next up is Surendra Bhave. His name was mentioned when I was speaking to Milind. Like Milind, he has also been a first-class cricketer, played and more importantly captained for Maharashtra for quite some time. He has a phenomenal cricketing average of 58. And remember, this is in those days, not these days, when even three per over was a great kind of thing. And for consistently for many years, he was scoring more than 800 runs in Ranji matches for nearly 4-5 years, and that's a huge kind of prolific run getter as he was called. He went on to coach the Maharashtra Ranji team as well, and has played as a role of a national selector for BCCI in many years. And coincidentally, while our panel discussion is being called 22 yards and beyond, Surendra's academy is also called 22 yards cricket academy, and he the outcome of the many is players that we all know, which is Kedar Jadhav and Ruturaj Gaikwad. And thanks to IPL, we know of course all these players now. So thanks, Surendra, for your time, and welcome to Between the Lines.
Thank
And
you.
last but not the least, we have Abhay Apte, a unique combination, and I'm going to ask him that question about a lawyer and a cricket administrator. He has been a president of Maharashtra Cricket Association. He served on marketing and legal committees for BCCI for many years. He was the chairman of the governing board at the Deccan Gymkhana Club in Pune, and is also the president of a educational trust that owns and operates a very prestigious school in Pune called Apte Prashala and Junior College. So Abhay, welcome and thanks for your time.
Thank you.
And welcome to Between the Lines.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, lovely. So maybe Sunandan, I'll start with you. And we just heard Milind, and in our offline conversation, you wanted to say something about this art of captaincy. So maybe I'll start with that. What's exactly this art of captaincy that you, as a journalist, and having worked with so many, or having interacted, interviewed, spent a lot of quality time with so many cricketers of over the last 30 years. What is this art of captaincy?
Advait, I particularly remember one incident which happened on the PYC ground. We were playing a six-a-side tournament that used to happen on a Dasera day. And
Okay.
Pune Club, he was leading, Milind Gunjar, and we were playing against him. And that tournament was quite unique. And Pune Club's wicketkeeper was Bhupendra Sharma. He was fondly called as Chotu Sharma. And
Okay.
Milind observed that a particular player from his own side was often throwing ball erratically at the wicketkeeper.
Okay.
And Milind didn't say anything, but during the break, he asked that player to wear wicket-keeping gear, pads and gloves. And he was baffled that why Milind is asking him to put on wicket-keeping gear. And then he threw ball at each of his players and asked all of them to shoot stumps and throw erratically at that particular player. And that player was in total discomfort. And then Milin caught his collar and said, "Now you realize, you fool, you were throwing the ball at Bhupendra Sharma and not realizing that this was not on." So these are the small things it keeps in your mind. And second,
Love.
most importantly, you should have asked him to sing a Talat Mahmood song. He was a brilliant Talat Mahmood singer. I like Surendra Rao is a brilliant Sudhir Phadke singer. So
Okay.
Talat Mahmood, he used to sing brilliant Talat Mahmood songs.
Maybe we can have a separate Antakshari session later. Lovely, lovely. That's a brilliant anecdote to start with, Sunathan. Thank you. Abhay, coming to you now, I think I mentioned that in the introduction as well. What's this interesting combination of being a lawyer and being a cricket administrator? You know, I can see that you've joined this from your office and all those typical lawyer books are behind you. So what's this combination?
Thank you, Advait. And let me tell you that there are books inside. It's not only the cover. Uh, See, lawyer is a very, very interesting, versatile qualification. Some people will ask me, how come you are a cricket administrator? Look, I was a lawyer yesterday. I am a lawyer today, and I'll remain lawyer tomorrow. You will find many lawyers doing this versatile job. You will find many of them being ministers, again going back to the court and taking the gown and starting with the practice. I will give you one example. Few years ago, the law minister of India, I don't want to name him. Of course, most of them are brilliant lawyers. He met me during some election or something, and he said, "Vakil Saab, आपकी वकालत 3 महीने के लिए बंद कर दो." I said, "How can I do it?" So he said, "What is great about it? I am a law minister today, so I am not going to the courts. Tomorrow, though I appoint some other person as a law minister, I'll go to the court. It's a matter of 2 months. You will pick up your practice. Next 3 months, you will cross all the records." So being lawyer is on the lighter side. I have said this, but being lawyer is of great help, because if you talk about cricket, cricket is played only on the grounds and courts today.
Sure.
These
Oh
are the
God.
only two places where cricket is. So I'm
Okay.
taking care of the other side.
I'll come back to this quote of yours being played in court. Okay, lovely. Surendra, coming to you. I mean, you've been obviously a prolific player. You've been a very successful captain, then a coach and a selector. Of these 3-4 roles that you've played in your cricketing and professional journey, which one you believe is the toughest?
Good question, Advait. I must give you that. It's a very good question.
Thank you.
I think as a player, you're often told to control the controllables. Okay, and even as a Indian selector, you're only controlling the controllables. For a cricketer, what is a controllable? Controllable is how he behaves and how he plays and how he handles pressure on the ground. Whereas umpiring decision, pitches, weather, all those things are non-controllables. Okay. As a selector, even the commercial part is a byproduct, and you have to play well to make money. Even if you talk about money. When it comes to being a selector means, I think the controllable is how much can you travel and how many live matches you can watch. And if you're lazy with that, you're not going to look at the quality part of a player, and then you would rather have a computer selecting the team. But if you want to sort of describe a qualitative inning, or you want to describe a spell where the opposition was bowled out with some quality bowling, and at the same time when the bowler was bowling an outstanding spell, how was he in the field? Because he is only a bowler for 6 balls. Was he good enough in the field after his over was bowled? All those qualitative things can only be watched. And that is why I think you still have 5 national selectors. And even 5 at times, they're hard pressed to cover the entire country. So for selector, that is a controllable. Okay. What a select, I think the selector's biggest value is sitting down on that table and coming out with the best Indian cricket team. And not even to think once about where you come from, or can you push your own agenda. So he brings honesty to the table. So these are the control. As a coach, I feel the controllables and non-controllables, the ratio actually goes a little bit haywire, if you know what I mean. I think coach has so many non-controllables that it is only certain things which, putting the teams through the right rituals, making sure that, he controls the team. Control is probably the wrong word. He maneuvers the team in such a manner that everybody is happy. The biggest virtue for a modern cricketer is to handle all the egos in the team and how to keep them sort of in check and how to utilize them for the best results. Okay. But since coach is the guy who only sits on the fence and doesn't control the actual play, the non-controllable part of coaching goes quite higher in this situation. And hence I think you feel that the coaches have to be paid very well, because it's a it's a job which you can lose in a minute. Okay. And because of a lot of non-controllable issues, and that's why you hear these salaries, what these big coaches get is for that. Because when you work in a bank, you're almost assured of a service of, say, 30 years, 40 years. You get your gratuity, you get your pension. If you don't do anything really, really wrong, you never get sacked. Okay. As a selector, what I feel is you have to bring honesty to the job, and that's why you can only do 4 years of being selector, because it's usually perceived to be that if you're selector for more than 4 years, then vested interests might start hampering your decision.
I'll come back to interesting points.
So that's my comparison of these three jobs. I've enjoyed all three. There's no doubt about that. I always enjoy the challenge of being a coach more than anything else, and that's why I've enjoyed it more. Some people actually take up the jobs which are lighter on responsibility, and you are not directly accountable. But the coach is always directly accountable, and I like that accountability.
Thank you so much, Sunandan. I mean, as a journalist, a lot of people might want to be journalists. I mean, I'll take you back to your start of your career. How did you choose to be a sports journalist? What went through your mind, and how did you choose that as a career option, if I can ask that?
No, that wasn't my career option. I'm an accidental journalist. My bread and butter was advertising. I used to generate revenues for media groups. I was ad manager of a media group, and writing came naturally to me. Having played cricket, I know my cricket well, so writing came naturally to me. So cricket writing, although it was my passion, not my profession. From 1986, when I joined Kesari, I started writing on my own, and from 1986 to 2007, I was a passionate cricket journalist, not a professional cricket journalist. And in 2007, I switched to a professional journalist. So honestly speaking, I haven't had any official education related to journalism. And let me confess, I'm an accidental journalist.
Okay. Very interestingly, Sunandan, a couple of months ago, a very good friend of yours, Vikram Sathye, was on our program. And he sort of took us through exactly the same kind of thing, where he said, I'm an accidental cricket comic. I mean, like you, he was an ad man.
Yeah.
He was a media person, and then he went on to what he is now. Great, lovely. Abhay, coming back to you, we've heard the cricket administrator. What exactly is a cricket administrator? How do you work as an administrator? You're not a player, you're not a captain, you're not a coach, you're not a selector. What is this cricket administrator?
There are two clear things which have been made very clear since beginning and after the Lodha committee report, whatever level they are being applied. Cricket is being handled by cricketers, at least it is expected, and administration is another part. What happens is, an administrator, if you talk about the current constitution, because you may ask me how you became administrator, then I have to continue the series of accidents which Sunandan has started, and say that I was a lawyer and I was representing one side in the litigation. Eventually, I was asked that no, you start working with us because you're a lawyer and you're conducting many sports-related matters. Then I
Okay.
joined them. Then later on, I became part of the managing committee. And as Justice Loda gave, the Supreme Court gave a judgment that those who have completed 9 years cannot remain. So I suddenly became the president. And of course, from 2013, I was part of BCCI committees because I was representing Maharashtra, etc. So administrators are two types. One is those who go through the electoral method, which is traditionally there in BCCI. But
Yeah.
as per the new constitution of which has been amended since Loda Committee's report, there are positions like CFO, CEO, then different 5 general managers, and which are completely professional. So if you look at BCCI is completely professionally managed, we must say, because they have CEO, they have got CFO, they have got a team of managers who take care of all their activities, and the world most wealthiest board, which is BCCI, is there because of the efforts, because of the talent, and because of the foresight of administrators which have come in there. See, today I'll take 1 more minute only. Today, when you look at the board, you say, "Oh, they are cozy club. It's a club of cozy. It's a sort of
Yeah.
cozy
Yeah.
club." No doubt, we create a perception by the way in which we behave, by the way in which we conduct ourselves. But remember, by 1993, this same board was having loss of 10,000 lakhs of rupees. It was not having 25,000 crores, or it was not having 10,000 crores in the bank. It had a loss of 80 lakhs of rupees, if you see the books of accounts. So
Okay.
thanks to the administrators who converted the media rights as a revenue source, fought
Hmm.
with the court, went up to Supreme Court, challenged Doordarshan, challenged Prasar Bharati bill, and that is how we are here. We'll talk about
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
maybe later. But
Sure. Sure.
administrators, those who are aspiring, it is there in the constitution. So there are two types. If you see how you become a minister, then I cannot tell you that you have to give this examination, you have to do this. So
Okay.
administrators become through they get up through the
And
council.
and
Yeah,
this
please.
this financial turnaround obviously is pre-IPL.
Pre-IPL. I'm talking
Yeah.
about 1993. That is
Yeah. Yeah.
pre-IPL.
Yeah.
When people like I think Dalmia ji was the secretary. So that before that Doordarshan used to take 5 lakhs of rupees per match from BCCI for showing it on their TV.
Okay.
From there, they have turned the tables and now they get billions of dollars because
Yes.
everyone,
Absolutely.
an Indian who stays wherever, is absolutely crazy about this game. So when we talk about cozy club, maybe there are few people who behave like that, but at the same time, there were people who had the foresight of converting this into a money, generating scheme. So that
Sure.
credit goes to, of course, IPL is the next game changer, but the
Yeah.
first was this.
This media
First was
rights.
the, and so that's why
Lovely.
if somebody
Lovely.
wants to become an administrator today, why cricket? There is also a game like kabaddi, which is being sought after, which is
Yeah.
being completely professional. Then professional soccer. Of course, please keep quiet during pandemic.
Yeah. Of course. Okay. Surendra, coming to you, and you
Yeah.
gave a fantastic description in terms of different roles and the challenges, and what is controllable and not. But coming back to you as a player and as a captain on the field, as spectators, even on TV also, if there's a normal match, test match, say, we see what is happening between say 9:30 and 5, except for the breaks kind of thing. But as
Hmm.
a player and as a captain, how does on a typical match day, how does your day start? What goes on before you come on the field, either for batting or fielding? What goes on behind the scenes? As you know, as a spectator, we don't know all that, but it's a great chance to ask a player like you.
Well, I think each player has his own way of spending time leading up to the match. And
Mhm.
obviously, once you are in a regimental setup, when the warm up starts at 8 o'clock, and then the warm ups are done, then you do some of your drills, and then you hit the match. And post match now, essentially, they have ice bath, all of them. Yeah, ice bath is something which our viewers may not know about, but there's a barrel which is half full with water and half with ice, and it
Okay.
actually gives you the fastest recovery. So that's also part of the ritual or the routine of a cricketer after the match. And then there's always the part where they have the snacks and go back to their hotel rooms. And once you go back to the hotel room, I think the coaches and the players have a very similar routine, because both need to take their mind away from cricket for a while, and as you call it, the clean slate, to turn up fresh every morning. So both have to do the relaxation part in their own way, in their own style. Have an early dinner. Okay. A lot of players I know do meditation, which also helps you to recover your body quickly. And as it is quoted by yoga masters, that if you do the shavasana dhyan very well, then you actually recover almost an hour and a half of sleep. So if you've done it in the evening, then you have had your meal, and then you go to bed, you can actually relax so well that you start the day afresh. Same applies to the player. Same applies to the player. Early meal is a very important ritual, and even from the days of Ayurveda, we know that everyone from our parents, they always ate at 7:38, which is the ideal time to do it. People do have their own ways of relaxing. Some like the music, some like watching the television. Some like sitting with friends and enjoying whatever they enjoy every evening. So it all differs like that. But so it's basically aimed at
what you're trying to say is that relaxation is important between the 2 days.
Yeah, and taking your mind away from cricket for a while. That's what clears your mind. So it's very important that the decisions you are likely to take the next day on a cricket field as a player and as a coach are not affected too much by the history of that particular match or the long distance history. It's important that you're sort of switched on when the game starts, even as a player and as a even as a a part of.
Let me interrupt you here, because we always see people taking fresh guard. If I'm 95 not out overnight, do I get a good night's sleep? And can I really relax? Those kind of things. Or even after a batsman scores a century, many times we've seen even people like Sachin actually physically taking that fresh guard kind of thing. Is it symbolism, or does it really help?
It's a mental switch on. It's a switch. Okay. Now, many a times people have this habit of getting out in 30s and 40s. What do the good coaches tell them? When you reach your 30, if it's your lucky day as a professional cricketer, and if you reach 30, make sure you ask for a leg guard again, start afresh, and score another 30.
Okay.
That's what makes you go to 60. So it's a mental switch. It's a mental switch. When you take a fresh guard, even after lunch, sometimes people do that. There are not many people who bat the entire day anymore, but there are still some who believe in that theory or that style of batting. So overnight you go out, you've got 100 under your belt. You still are asked for a leg stump guard. And sometimes you actually see the markings of your own guard on the pitch when you've gone there the next time. But you still have to go through the ritual of telling your body and brain that here I go again. This is the start. I want to score another century today. Okay. And that's how the mind works in a very funny way, and you have to sometimes, and the switch on and switch off bit is now a little bit old. What they call now is switch up and switch down. Okay. So when you take a leg stump guard, it's a switch up.
Okay. Lovely. Okay. Sunandan, I mean, as a journalist on the ground, how does your day start? When does it start? Take us through a typical match day for you when you're at the stadium.
I have a particular habit of going to the ground very early, because I love watching practice sessions, because that will tell you many stories. So I will land up at the ground, say at least an hour and a half before the match starts. And then from the start of the match till lunch, I will roam around, I will chat with spectators, I will chat with selectors. I will chat with former players. Then I will have a light lunch because I have to keep myself awake. So from there on till tea, again I will roam around. I will gather my thoughts. I will write two sidelights, not related to match, but in and around the match. And from tea onwards, I will start writing about what I'm supposed to write as a match copy. But during the entire day, I will make it sure that if I'm covering a test match, I will not miss a single ball.
Okay.
That has got I have got that particular habit that again the same like a batsman, switch on, switch off. I will switch off the moment the ball is bowled, but again I will concentrate as a journalist and watch that particular delivery. And I will keep on noting important points because
Okay.
I love to keep my hard disk free, and that will give me energy and ideas about how I'm going to start my copy, how I'm going to build that copy, and how I'm going to end my copy. So
Okay.
that is the particular ritual. And again, after the match, the most important part for a journalist is to attend a press conference and ask an important but interesting question,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
that a player will laugh, he will be happy, and he will answer. It should be a case that your question is for 10 seconds and he will answer for 5 minutes. Most of the cases, journalists will do other way around. They'll ask question
Okay.
for 2 minutes, and the player will say, "Oh, I am happy," and over and out for that. So
Yeah.
I will think hard how I'm going to ask an interesting question, and that is a normal ritual. And after finishing my copy around say hour and a half after the last ball is bowled, I will come back to the room and relax.
Okay, okay. Very interesting thing you mentioned about press conference. Interestingly, today only, I think Osaka Naomi, the the tennis player, has come out very heavily on press conferences kind of thing. So it shouldn't happen that somebody is down and out, somebody has been lost a match or has been really clobbered by the opposite team, and you're saying going with the thinking, "Aapko kaise महसूस हो रहा है?" That cannot happen.
I will narrate a quickly. I would like to narrate a small kissa about cricket. We
Yes,
were
please.
in Australia, and it was I think 2014 tour. And problem ये हो रहा था कि their tailenders were really buggering us, and our tailenders were winding up. So our score used to be say 275 for 5 and all out 320, 340.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
on the other side of the coin, Australia's score would be say 170 for 6, and they will end up 380.
Oh,
So
okay.
I was thinking about how I should ask this question to Mahendra Singh Dhoni, and he shouldn't be pissed off. So asked a question in typical Lele style. Ask him that उनकी पूछ हनुमान जैसी, हमारी पूछ डॉबरमन जैसी, ये समस्या हल कैसे होगी? So he started laughing, and then he gave me a very, very interesting answer. So these are the kind of things I do often, so that the atmosphere at the press conference is on the lighter side, but I
Yeah,
ask a particular pinpointed question, but in a
yeah,
hilarious way.
yeah. Lovely, lovely. Okay. Abhay, Surendra and Sunandan have taken us through their match day, as a player, as a journalist. Now, as a cricket administrator and the role that you've described, obviously your day in office would be very different if there's a match that you're organizing or hosting versus if there's no match. As an administrator, take us through your match day typically.
Otherwise, see, Suren and Sunandan, both of them work in their individual capacities. They are individually there. But
Yeah,
when you work for an organization and when you climb the ladders, when you become, say, president, then the role is completely different. Role
sure,
is different in the
sure.
sense you have got a team to work for you. You have got your PR, you have got your event manager. If it is a BCCI match, they have got full-fledged activities. They have got full-fledged team to support you. It is if it is an IPL, then people like IMG who have generated this idea, they also come and help us. But then there is a difference. The
Yeah,
difference is for any small thing that goes wrong, you become responsible. So that responsibility is extremely high for things which even you do not know.
yeah,
Something like, for every cricket match, there will be an agitation. and it will be covering all the political parties, all caste, creed, gender. There will be an agitation because if you do something with cricket, you get the publicity. Then there will be some media reports always creating some noise because then it is a cricket match, so everybody can do it.
Yeah.
Then handling cricket match is one thing where we have got competent people who will cricket, will be curators who will take care of the ground, etc. But then something like distributing passes, something like handling with excise officer, handling police officers, handling commissioner's office, handling charity, so income tax. So there are many such issues which are completely different. So the routine of a person gets completely bogged down during last 5, 6, 7, 8 days, because then you will be proceeding further. You have to take pre-match press conference, then you have to go there, you have to be there. I'll be narrating some incidents which will be lifetime experiences, how you get out of it. So for an administrator, there is a team, and but at the same time, the responsibility becomes absolutely high for things which even you do not know. There is a fire at the flag end, and you are not sitting there. There are volunteers, there are people, but then as the president, you are responsible for that.
Sure.
So that is the difference.
Now I know why you will need a lawyer as an administrator.
Lele wants to give a counter. Here also, he doesn't want to stop.
No. He has played this down because on the day of the day before the match, or even on the day of the match, when the match is happening in your own city, distributing passes is the biggest nightmare. I'm telling you, because on the day of the match, a friend of mine came to my house and said, "Sunandan, I just want 4 passes." So I was so angry and pissed off. I told him कि यार 4 पास तो नहीं है, मैं ऐसा करता हूँ 2 को टीम में खिला देता हूँ, 2 को पास देता हूँ.
Okay, Surendra, coming back to the cricket part of it, I mean, in today's times, today's players, there's a lot of technology available for all your team meetings, analysis, slow-mos, replays, and all that part. I can reasonably be sure that when you were a player and a captain, many of these were not available to you. So how did you manage your team meetings, your analysis, your team strategy, before, during any match without this so-called technology?
Good question. Once again, I personally feel that you have lots of technology now, and you have the video analyst, then you have the performance analyst, then you have the team of physios, trainers, and you have your psychologist and all that. Exactly like what Abhay was saying, that the team is at your disposal, but as a head coach, you have to decide which faculty to bring in for that particular, because if you have real long team meetings every day, then the players are going to be tired. Okay, so it's about breaking the right news to the right player at the right time. That's what it is. So what the head coach actually does now, he stores all the information which he gets throughout the day, and then breaks it down and makes sure with his IQ in cricket what needs to be broken to the player and what needs to be withheld. Okay, when it comes to strategizing and the videos, the old style was people picked up, the captains and the coaches picked up things by naked eye and strategized. Okay, now captains and coaches are given the video feed to show that this batter is batting in a particular manner, and can we strategize for that? That's the difference. Okay, I still feel that human mind, if it's applied properly, can take care of all the information, absorb all the information, assimilate it, and then come out with the right suggestions, so that the coaching part is subtle, is accurate, and it's not too long. It's not too long, because the players have already spent their mental energy on the field for 6.5 hours. The last thing you want is to sit them down in a meeting which lasts another 2 hours. And then what happens to the early dinner part and the relaxation part? They're showering, they're getting ready, they're talking to the family. All that part is disturbed. So I still feel that the old style coaching was outstanding. People picked it from outside without any video analysis. They picked up things, they passed it on to the captain. Captain strategized and picked up wickets. That's how it happened in old times. Now it happens in a much methodical manner, much more accuracy has got into it. As you know, as you see on television replays, that a lot of howlers have been avoided because there's a lot of technology. But at the same time, what you watched is there are still howlers where the person sitting upstairs make mistakes. Okay, and then you see on television that this was probably not the right decision. So I think previous coaches had very sharp mind, and they were trained to observe things in such a manner that they could assimilate information, pass it on to the captain, and things would happen. Now it happens with the help of technology. But I am
but your vote was for old school first principles kind of method.
I'm a little bit old school. I'm not averse to using technology in cricket at all, you know. And I have coached for last 5 years. I've coached Maharashtra when we did not have enough budgets, and I've actually played the team in Ranji and T20 and Vijay Hazare 50 over format without a video analyst. And that is something which I'm proud of, because I said I can still believe my instincts. I have my observation power intact, and I know when to press the button when it's necessary. And that is the way it was done before. So I did not feel very odd when a lot of people were not there to help me. But obviously, when technology is available, then you've got to use it in a very smart manner. Very smart manner. You know, and when technology used in a cricket match is not applied to correct a technique of a particular player. Technology used in a cricket match is only to get good results. You cannot turn around a player's technique in one match by observing something on the computer screen and saying, "Arey, tera backlip idhar se aa raha hai, abhi tu idhar se la." That's not going to happen the last time. Okay, so it's only to get results, and you do get better results if you have lots of help. But it can be without help as well. So old time, new times.
Thank you. Sunandan, taking this technology discussion to your field, I know you started, and print is still big in journalism, but how have you adapted to this omni-channel, omni-technology kind of influence on journalism?
I've raised my the finger, and it's not to give anybody out. I wanted to add when Sunandan was talking, but I did not. You know today why Sunandan is where he is, because I'm once again old school when it comes to journalism. I've always praised the like of Sundar Rajan, H. Natarajan, all these guys who were exactly like Sunandan, present on the ground right from the start of the warm-up.
And he said not to
felt,
ball.
They felt the conditions. They would speak to people. They would speak to crowd, and that's how Sunandan has taken this forward. And that's why it's important to chase something with passion as he has. Then, if it becomes your profession, it's all right. First prerequisite is passion, isn't it?
Absolutely. So Surendra, Sunandan, sorry.
Advait, print still remains to be my first love, print media. But at the same time, one has to adapt and advance as far as technologies are concerned. You should not be saying, "Yaar, mera is pe bharosa nahi hai." It shouldn't be like that. That is why on the tour of New Zealand 2009, I suddenly bought a camera and started shooting for no reason. Started doing tidbits for no reason. And that helped me to try my luck for television media. And at the same time, while working for BBC and Australian Broadcasting Corporation also, I learned many things which were quite unique. Again, मैं छोटी सी बात बोल देता हूँ. When I was on tour of South Africa and I visited a particular place, a particular railway station where Mahatma Gandhi ji was offloaded or was thrown out of railway. So I went there and did a nice story about that station and what had happened to Mahatma Gandhi ji. And that story was quite well accepted in BBC. But when I went to London, and I was attending a voice modulation course for BBC, a gentleman over there named Peter, he took me out during the lunchtime, and he said, Sunandan, I want to tell you something, a mistake which you committed. I said, just Peter, just go on. I want to understand. So he said, while doing that particular piece at that particular railway station, you were visualizing everything. That radio medium is not for the visual medium, it's for as if you are working for a blind guy. So a blind guide should be able to visualize that thing. So instead of just saying that I'm standing at this particular station and Mahatma Gandhi ji was thrown out of the railway station, you should have recorded dak dak of a railway car. You should have recorded railway announcement. You should have recorded that railway bell. And as if somebody is throwing someone from the railway, you should have recorded that voice also. That would have created a magic. Otherwise, why I'm telling you all these things, these small little things which I learned from the greats of this industry made me a better journalist. So I love print media, but at the same time, visual medium is quite powerful. हमने अभी तक उसका अच्छा इस्तेमाल किया नहीं है, and as far as radio is concerned, it's a unique medium, and I still love that.
Yeah, yeah. Two quick questions rejoined us to what you said last time. In your previous answer, you said you watch every ball, so you don't rely on technology later to look at any replays, etc. So that's one. So second thing is about your what you mentioned. You picked up a camera and started shooting. Now I've seen interviews of large number of players and videos where you actually use technology and you take them to your kitchen where you are there, and you invite a lot of players for dinner, and there is a lot of videos about this. So tell us some interesting stories about that.
So cooking is again something I love, and that helped me on three counts. Three counts. One is I'm a freelancer, so money earned is also money earned, and money saved is also money earned. So if I'm going to cook for myself, I'm going to save my a penny for me. Second thing, it keeps me healthy. And third thing, which Surendra has observed during New Zealand tour, that everybody craves for home cooked meal.
Yeah.
All the players from the older generation, be it Sachin or Dhoni or Rahul or Lakshman or Sehwag or Yuvraj, everybody used to queue up in a group and they used to have a dinner. But there was a rule कि खाना मैं पकाऊंगा लेकिन प्लेट आपको धोनी पड़ेगी. And they used to honor that. They never used to mind about that. So on these three counts, it has really, the cooking has really helped me.
Yeah, lovely. Sticking on to the technology part, as an administrator, and you mentioned this Prasar Bharati and media rights and now of course IPL, but how has technology changed the world of cricket and cricket administration? What's your views on that?
See, cricket administration has very, I would say, convenient to use the technology till now. Because if you see their offices, if you see the way in which they plan their activities, if you say the way in which they control every activity, they freely use the technology. Now, even if you see, if you want to just expand that concept of technology, keeping players in bio bubble is what? It is also in a way a use of technology. They are using technology. They have got, of course, that much of money where they can create a bio bubble. They can keep their players and they can save them from the pandemics also. So cricket India is very quick in adopting technologies because they are professionally managed, and with the grace of God, currently they have the sort of wealth which they can use. So the Indian cricket has used technology like anything, but at the same time, the bottom line is that technology is for your service and you are not serving the technology.
Okay, very interesting point. Okay. Any kind of, because we're again, I was just looking at the watch, we're running out of time. So one maybe last question to each one of you. Any memorable moment for you when you were president of MCA?
Uh, that way every day becomes memorable. But then still, let me tell you,
Yeah,
uh, the match between India and New Zealand, which was in October 2017. That was a match when I started like a normal day. In the early morning, I received some message from BCCI about some working of managers and all that. So we had our liaison officers kept in the office. I called them out. I gave them the feedback. By 9 o'clock, I received a phone call from a channel saying that we have done sting operation of your curator, and we have found that he's doing XYZ, and he needs to be, and this is what is happening. What is your reaction? So I said, I have not seen it. So I saw it, and then I immediately at about 9:30 I started for the stadium because it was a very serious issue. Remember one thing: you sell tickets of about 3.54 crores of rupees. If one ball is not bowled, you have to give entire money back, and
yeah,
the association's financials were also not very happy.
sure.
So when I went there, I was left with no other option but to tell the gentleman who is like my brother that I am sorry, I will have to take a harsh decision today and suspend you and get some another curator. So I
Okay,
did it in no time because there was no one around. So I took that decision. I removed him. Then I talked to the match referee. I think it was Chris Broad who was there. Then apparently initially he said why I should get into that, etc. I said you inspect the wicket and tell me if there is any problem, because the other curator who comes from BCCI was making it very clear that there was nothing wrong in the wicket and this is completely a hush up story. So then
okay,
it was confirmed. Nobody knew about it, and the match started at the right time. I went to the press box. I told them that there is some issue. I have done this, and then the match will commence. Because conducting a match was so important during that
sure,
time and taking fast
absolutely.
decisions, talking to the committee of administrators, talking to the government, talking to the cricketing authorities, changing the curator, taking some action against this curator, and it has ruined his life, but he did no wrong things because
Yeah.
ICC engaged an independent inquiry committee, and it was proved that this was a cut and paste business done by a channel,
Oh,
and they still do keep doing it, and two of my friends were the commentators on the channel. Let's not get into it.
yeah,
And so ultimately everything became, but conducting that match was an experience for me, a lifetime experience
yeah,
for
yeah.
me.
I can
These
imagine that. Yeah,
8 hours.
lovely, lovely. Thank you so much. Surendra, one last question to you. You've been a selector of our Indian World Cup winning kind of team. Now, my question to you is, how does one scout talent? I mean, again, a couple of months ago, we had a similar session, and Prakash Iyer, who used to be CEO of Mumbai Indians for some time, and Mumbai Indians won the IPL during his tenure. He mentioned that talent scouting is the most important for any team, and he actually named, Ponting and Kiran More as
Yeah,
two people who he admires for talent scouting. So as
yeah.
selectors, and you said 5 selectors, 4 years. So how do you, scout talent? And we've heard and seen that there are these training camps and selection camps, and like you said, you need to travel and watch and the qualitative part of it. But how do you scout talent to,
Okay, part one, watching net practice is only an indicator to one's talent. It's
Okay,
not the end all and be all, because you've got to
sure,
watch the guy under pressure. When he's under pressure, when he's pressed under a little pump, then you make out his temperament.
Mhm.
Temperament plays a huge role, and that is why
Yeah,
our committee insisted on watching the matches live rather
yeah,
than taking a feedback from, say, some of the press members or watching the videos. We actually watched the cricket matches. Um, Talent spotting is a very, very natural talent. It's a
Mhm.
completely natural talent. It's something which probably cannot be taught. It's a very instinctive kind of thing. When you have two or three players who are almost, as they say in Hindi, 19-20 ka
Mhm.
difference hai. When you
Yeah,
have that, to differentiate between a real winner and the horse will win you a lot of races.
yeah,
To pick that guy, you need that special talent,
sure.
and that is something which is very, very tough to describe in a webinar. But I feel you have to watch the players when they're under extreme pressure. That's when you
Okay.
know. That's when you know who has the actual temperament. Okay,
Sure.
and
Sure.
then you look into certain things. As I said, a lot of times you're actually watching a cricket match, but you're missing things. The missing links could be if somebody is scoring 100 plus not out, you have already credited him or given him a tick on your little diary. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now he's running between the wicket and after he scores 100. Okay. His attitude towards his partners after he has scored a century. His attitude towards making it into a double hundred and getting his team to a total of 500. Okay. And putting his best foot forward till the last ball of the day, all those
Yeah.
things sometimes can be ignored. Somebody is in a fantastic bowling spell, and sometimes you sort of say, "Arey, kya ball kar raha hai yaar?" But at the same time, after those 6 balls, he goes on the boundary and he's not very spectacular with his fielding. You sometimes you very inadvertently ignore the fact that the guy is a brilliant bowler, but maybe he's not such a good fielder to be pressed into bigger responsibilities.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because when you press somebody into international duty, you've got to thoroughly check the product before you put him up, put him out.
Yeah.
And also, a lot of it depends on your instinctive judgment and your luck at times.
Sure.
Okay.
Sure.
But at the same time, you've got to understand in international cricket, there's no place to hide. So
Yeah.
if you put a guy in international cricket who is outstanding bowler or a batsman and is found weak in running between the wicket or fielding or attitude or any of those things, then he's going to be found out. He's going to be watched by millions
Yeah.
on television. Yeah. So it's a very important subject.
Sure.
It's a talent which is very inherent with some of the guys, and actually for a namesake, I can give you names who I think were brilliant talent spotters. Singh Dungarpur, Hanuman Singh, Vasu Paransky, Bala Sahib Barni, Dilip Vengsarkar, Kiran More. I know these guys were brilliant talent spotters. They knew their cricket well, and they had sixth sense. Okay, so it's very important, and there might be many names which I would be missing, but some of these guys had that talent, but that talent is a very instinctive and very gifted sort of talent, and I think to be a national selector, all five need not possess that talent.
Yeah.
There are guys who are going to be very methodical with recording. Yeah, they're guys who are going to be very good with numbers. There's guys who's going to be very good with observing fitness of the guys, and the chairman and some of the senior members must have that eye whether the guy they're picking is the right guy or not. I mean, and that's all about it. I think it's tough to describe, but
Thank you.
spotting talent is a very natural gift.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Lovely. Sunandan, one final question for the today is to you. Slightly different this thing. I thought that since you mentioned that when you describe your day that you interact with people, selectors, coaches, players, ex-players, etc., etc. Now, to observe these people obviously, and I know for a fact that you have great relationship with all the cricketers over the last 30 years, including current Indian team players. Now, when you have this personal relationship, professional relationship, and at the end of the day, like you said, after tea, you start tracking down, remains of the day, as they say. How do you ensure that your relationship with these players doesn't come in the way of your objectivity when you are sort of scrutinizing them, commenting on them, commending them, criticizing them, and the other way, that how does it not come in the way of your relationship if that happens so? And has there been any, you can name, not name, your choice, but has there been any instances where, thanks to you being very critical of them from a strictly professional perspective, unfortunately it affected your personal kind of equity with them?
Touchwood, Advait, I have never spoiled my relation with players, even though I have criticized them, because my heart was clear, my intentions were pure. and never ever I put on a frivolous kind of a argument or an allegation against them. That was the main thing. And having played cricket at least to some level, I could understand what is the pressure is all about. How it is difficult to stand at a short leg and try to catch a catch. How is it difficult to play last half an hour of a day when you have fielded for say 500 runs? So
Yeah.
all these nitty gritties have helped me as a journalist. And to be honest with you, player never will never ever argue with you if you criticize them on a cricketing background.
Hmm.
If you are going to say his attitude wasn't right and everything, that is not on. You have to be objective and not subjective in your criticism.
Yeah.
Many a times it has so happened that I have criticized a player. They asked me, did you write this kind of a copy? I said, yes, I did. So no problem. Let's be clear. Let's be open about our relationship. Let's chat.
Yeah.
Whether we will agree, we always sign a, a contract saying that you should be able to agree to disagree, and that is the most important thing, and
Yeah.
that is
Yeah.
why my relationship has always been nice with the players.
Sure. Sure. Great. I
Just
know
one,
we could
just
go
one,
on for.
one thing,
Yeah.
Advait, when it comes to selection panel, it's the same principle which applies, that you have to agree to disagree. Even if you disagree, you actually, after lots of disagreements, you come out with a consensus which gives you the right team. And everybody's convinced that what we are doing, it's on the right lines, and it has, like
Sure.
Sanandan said, good intentions for all players.
Sure.
That's
Yeah.
what it is all about.
Great, lovely. I mean, good intentions, are the baseline for all the things that you can do and should do. I know we can continue this for a much longer time, but we have to be aware and mindful of the time limit that we have.
Only one
Yeah.
thing. 1 minute, I will complete it. First is to thank you for giving us an opportunity of expressing
No,
My pleasure. My pleasure.
Thank you so
our
much.
friends after a very long time. And then I congratulate Milind also for writing such a wonderful book and wish him all the best
Yeah.
in future. And
Yes, sir.
hope that it becomes a bestseller.
Sure.
Yeah.
So thank you, thanks Abhay, thanks Surendra, thanks Sunandan for this lovely dialogue that we had. I hope we had more time, but that's life. And at the end of the day, it's 80 overs or 90 overs have been bowled into the next play, as they say. And thank you again, all of you. Thanks Milind for starting the program on a very high note, sharing your own journey as well. And thanks for the wonderful audience to stick around for slightly more time than we had anticipated. Over to you, Darpan.
Thank you, Advait.
Thank you.
On behalf of National HRD, we would like to thank Advait sir and his team for putting up such a beautiful panel where we've got to learn, trust me, a lot many more things than those 22 yards. And as a big fan and cricket enthusiast, most of our audiences are looking forward for, sessions beyond the 22 yards and beyond session. One of them in the audience has also written, if we can have more of such great stars to motivate the, some hidden talent inside the HR fraternity people as well,
Absolutely.
and those who might have forgotten that they were actually at a time very good, promising prospects. Uh, I'll not take much of time now. Thank you so much, esteemed panelists. I am honored to be even on the screen with you all. Thank you so much and look forward for such great sessions again.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Thank you.
Thank you so much
All
to
the
the
best,
audience
Milind,
for
for your
being with
book.
us.
Good luck for your book, Milind.
Thank you. Thank you.
Good luck,
Cheers.
Milind. Good luck.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Thank you. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye, everyone.
Thank
Thank
you,
you so
Sunandan.
much for being with National HRD.
Thank you.